Then next cost. Okay, let's calculate the next cost. It's a labor cost. So for the labor, okay, what are you going to do? For the labor cost, the formula, what is the formula to calculate the total labor cost? It's quantity times the time taken, how much time they have spent, the total time taken into the wage rate paid. Okay, if there are total number of employees, you have to also include them. Okay, now the quantity, okay, how much I need, how much of the shirts I'm making, that's the quantity. In the labor they are spending this is the direct labor cost. Okay, total of direct labor cost which is involved. So they are spending in two departments. One is cutting and machining and the other one is finishing and packaging. And the wage rate paid is £9 per hour and £7 per hour. So let's calculate what is the total labor hour spent in the two departments. Okay, one is the machining. I have cutting and machining, and then there are people who are doing finishing and packaging also. Now first for the fish, there are, so let's calculate this. The quantity we know it is 300. Okay, then what is the time taken? So let's calculate the time taken for preparing that shirt. Okay, so this is for, so direct labor cost calculation. Okay, so for this he says that he's able to make, for one shirt it takes 10 minutes. Okay, for one shirt it takes 10 minutes. Because the rate, labor wage rate is given per hour, I have to know how much it takes to prepare in 1 hour. Okay, it takes 10 by 60 hour. Now, okay, that's the labor time taken, 10 by 60 hours. So now let's put the things. Okay, so first one is the quantity of preparation, that is 300, and what is the quantity of preparation, then it takes 10 by 60 hours and the rate paid is £9 per, it is £9 per hour. Okay, so let's put that. So when I multiply all of this, okay, I will get 450. Then for finishing and packaging, he's able to, he takes for one shirt 6 minutes. Okay, for finishing, this is for cutting and machining. Okay, time taken. And then you have finishing and packaging section. What is the time spent? Let's see. Here for one shirt they are taking 6 minutes, and for, so for 300, so for in 1 hour, let's calculate in 1 hour, it is 6 by 60 hour. Okay, the time taken is 6 by 60 hour. So let's now put the calculation. So he is taking 300 times 6 by 60 is the time taken, times the rate paid is £7 per, £7 per hour. So this is going to be my total labor cost. So the value is going to be equal to 210. So put it in the calculator. So 300 into 6 by 60 into 7. It is going to be equal to 210. Then we have to do overhead cost calculation. So let's calculate that. So overhead cost also, okay, we have to calculate for the two departments, cutting and machining, in which it is spent, and then we have finishing and packaging department. So let's calculate the overhead cost involved in the two departments. So for cutting and machining, okay, so what is the formula? Again, it's the quantity into time taken into the rate, overhead rate. Okay, it is just going to be overhead rate. So what is the overhead rate? Okay, here overhead rate is calculated as an overhead cost, annual total overhead cost divided by annual machine hours. That is going to be the overhead rate. So let's calculate here overhead rate. Overhead rate is going to be equal to the formula is annual overhead cost, the total annual overhead cost divided by annual machine hours. Okay, that is equal to 80,000 divided by 10,000, that is equal to 8. Okay, so that's the 8 pounds per hour. Okay, that's the 8 pounds per hour. That's paid, OAR. Then this is for the cutting and finishing department. Then what is the for the finishing and packaging department? It's based on the labor hours. So he says that OAR, overhead rate, okay, overhead rate is going to be equal to annual overhead costs by annual labor hours. That's going to be equal to 36,000 divided by 6,000. That's is equal to 6 pounds. Okay, 6 pounds for the labor rate calculation. Now we have this. Okay, let's calculate for the total overhead cost. So the quantity, okay, the quantity of shirts that needs to be prepared is 200. So for that quantity and the time taken, we know time taken is 10 by 60 hours, okay, times the rate paid is going to be equal to 8 pounds. So here we have to use the overhead rate. So that is going to be equal to 400. Now for finishing and packaging, so it is the total quantity I am going to prepare is 300 shirts times the time spent is 6 by 60 hours to make for one shirt packaging, and the rate I have calculated it is £6 per hour. So let's multiply this and the value is going to be equal to 180. Now let's add up all of this cost. So I have the raw material cost, labor cost and overhead costs. Okay, let's add up all of this. So you and then calculate the quotation price. Finally, he's also okay. Let's first add up this. So when you add up 282850 plus 90 plus 450 plus 210 plus 400 plus 180. So it's going to be equal to 4180. Now he says that there is a 20% markup on the cost should be added. So let's add the markup cost. That's 20% of 4180. So that's going to be equal to 836. So that value is going to be 836. So let's write that 836. Now let's add this is the profit, okay, markup cost or the profit margin which I am adding. So let's name it as profit margin. And finally we get the quotation price. So that's going to be 4180 plus 836, that is equal to 5016.